Welcome to our overview on photosynthesis. The overall process of photosynthesis produces sugars that store chemical energy. This is an incredibly important concept. Without photosynthesis, there'd be no life on Earth. The sun bathes the Earth daily in unmeasurable amounts of energy, but if we can't capture it and use it, there would be no purpose, there would be no life. So the process by which some of that energy is captured and converted into chemical energy that can be used for life is the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthetic organisms are called producers. They produce energy for life. Producers make their own source of chemical energy. Plants just don't make sugars for animals to eat them. They make sugars for themselves. Fortunately for the animals, there's some left over, and so if the animals go out and eat some leaves, eat some grass, we can convert that into animal energy. Plants are the main photosynthesizers, they're photosynthetic and are producers. But there are others. There are many single-celled organisms like algae that also are photosynthetic and are producers. And there are some prokaryotic producers as well, some bacteria that are green and convert sunlight into sugar. Photosynthesis captures energy from sunlight to make sugars. That's the key concept of photosynthesis. An example of it, this sugar would be stored in a cob of corn, in some peas, and some beets, and an apple, and an orange, potatoes. Chlorophyll is a molecule that absorbs light energy. It has a unique chemical composition that it allows to absorb light energy and convert it into sugar. In plants, chlorophyll is found in organelles called chloroplasts. Sometimes you can even see these chloroplasts through a microscope. If you take a very thin type of leaf and look at it through the microscope, you can see the little green dots that are in there, and those are the chloroplasts. We have chloroplasts from a leaf, and then you've got a leaf cell. If you can see that, you see the little green things in the middle, and then if you look even with a better microscope, you can actually see the chloroplasts themselves. Photosynthesis in plants occurs in the chloroplast, which are the areas or centers where the chlorophyll is contained. It takes place in two parts of the chloroplasts: the grana, which are the thylakoids, and the stroma. The grana is for the light dependent and the stroma is for the light independent. So we have two basic parts, one that requires light and one that does not require light, so it can happen overnight. And these grana are stacked as they're like little dimes, and if you stacked a bunch of dimes, that would be what they call the thylakoids. And in each of the grana are chloroplasts. The light-dependent reaction captures energy from the sunlight. Takes place in the thylakoids, in the grana. Water and sunlight are needed, so we need water for this and sunlight. The chlorophyll absorbs the energy. Energy is transferred along the thylakoid membrane then to the light-independent reactions in the stroma. And key, oxygen is released. So in this part of it, we need water, sunlight, and oxygen is released. Another important part of life for plants and animals is you need oxygen. The light-independent reaction actually makes the sugars. It takes place in the stroma. It's the fluid around the thylakoids. It needs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, another important reactant in this equation. And it uses energy to build a sugar molecule in a cycle of chemical reactions. And we end up with a 6-carbon sugar molecule, like starches used to build glucose essentially, sometimes others, but most of the time glucose. And if you stack them all together, you'll get starches and cellulose. The equation for the overall process is So we said there's some reactants and some productions. There's 6 carbon dioxide molecules in the second part used in the light independent reaction, 6 water molecules used in the light dependent reaction, and of course energy from sunlight, and that is going to yield or create in a chemical reaction a 6 carbon sugar glucose and 6 oxygen molecules. Here's a model of that. You've got sunlight coming in and the thylakoid, and there's 6 water molecules and 6 oxygen molecules given off, and then in the light independent reaction, carbon dioxide is absorbed from the atmosphere and 1 6 carbon sugar is created. The process of photosynthesis.